Welcome to this English Fluency Masterclass. This masterclass is perfect for you if you're a beginner, intermediate, or advanced student. In this masterclass, you're going to improve all areas of your English, all the areas that you need to truly become fluent. You'll expand your vocabulary, you'll improve your listening skills, improve your reading skills, learn correct grammar and sentence structure, you'll improve your pronunciation, and you'll improve your speaking skills. And most importantly, by the end of this masterclass, you're going to feel more fluent and more confident. Welcome back to JForrest English. Of course, I'm Jennifer. Now let's get started. First, in this masterclass, you're going to expand your vocabulary and you're going to learn 7 phrases to help you sound like a native. Your first phrase to sound like a native speaker, one you must start using. How's it going? How's it going?
How's it going?
If you've been following me for a while, and if you haven't, make sure you subscribe right now. You'll know that I teach all my students to use how's it going because it will instantly make you sound like a native speaker. Of course, this is a replacement to how are you, and it's used in friendly professional situations and social contexts. Yes, you can still use this in professional situations. Just make sure the atmosphere is more friendly. But to sound like a native speaker, you must pronounce it like a native speaker. You cannot say, how is it going? With spaces between. You must say, how's it going? How's it going? So notice those sounds. How's it? Zit. You have that strong z, zit. How's it going? How's it going? Repeat after me. How's it going? How's it going? Keep practicing that until you're pronouncing it just like me. Now, to answer, because you will be asked this by native speakers, to answer, you would say it's going plus adjective, or you can simply use the adjective. It's going. Notice that it's going. Make sure you get that contraction. Don't say it is going. That will not make you sound like a native speaker. It's going. Great, good, pretty good, not too bad, okay. Those are the most common options.
How's it going? How is Andy?
How's it going?
Don't worry about taking notes because I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. You can find the link in the description. Number 2, do you have a sec? Do you have a sec?
Do you have a sec?
This is used to ask if someone can give you their attention for a short period of time because sec is short for second. Do you have a second? Do you have a sec? Now make sure you pronounce that k. It's a K sound at the end. Sec. Repeat after me. Sec. Sec. Native speakers will often drop the auxiliary and the subject and simply say, have a sec. Instead of do you have, we simply say, have a sec. And more casually, informally, we use got instead of have. Got a sec. Got a sec? So you could come in, knock on my door, and say, hey Jennifer, do you have a sec? If I'm available for a short period of time, I can say, sure, what's up? Now you can also specify what you want to talk about in the question. Hi Jennifer, do you have a sec to talk about vacation requests? So the topic of discussion is vacation requests. So notice it's do you have a sec plus infinitive, to plus base verb. Common infinitives are to talk about, to discuss, to review, to go over. There are many other options, but those will get you started.
Hey, Jack. Do you have a sec?
Do you have a sec?
Number 3, what's up? Did you notice that I used what's up in the last example? Well, let's talk about what that means. This is a casual way to inquire about someone's needs or wants. In the last example, I said, "Hi, Jennifer, do you have a sec?" And then as a reply, "Sure, what's up? What's up?" Now first, let's talk about the pronunciation. What's up? What's up? So notice it sounds like one word, and you hear that S on what's and sup. We put it in front of up. What's up? Repeat after me. What's up? What's up? Work on that pronunciation because it's extremely important to sound like a native speaker. Let's review this example. What's up with Jacob? He seems really distracted. In this case, it's a casual way to inquire about the status of someone, usually based on that person's behavior. So Jacob seems distracted. I want to know why. What's the reason? What's the status of Jacob? What's up with Jacob? He seems really distracted. To reply, you could say, "I'm not sure." Maybe he's under pressure. Or you could provide the reason, the status. His father's in the hospital. So that explains what's up with Jacob. You could also ask, what's up with the conference? Have the speakers been determined yet? In this case, it's a casual way to inquire about the status of something, the conference.
What's up with her?
What's up with Marshall?
What's up with Ichabod?
Number 4, I'm on it. This is a great expression and is used to accept responsibility for a task. For the pronunciation, notice how those sounds blend together. I'm on it. So you take the M and you put it on, and you take the N and you put it in front of it. I'm on it. Repeat after me. I'm on it. I'm on it. You can also drop the subject and verb and simply say on it. Make sure you get knit. On it. Repeat after me. On it. Excellent. Someone could and say, "Hey Jennifer, can you send out the meeting request?" And I can reply back and say, "On it." In this case, it's a response to a direct request. Someone asked me directly to do something. On it. Now, if you're in a meeting and the boss says, "Does anyone have time to send out the meeting request?" you can volunteer to accept this task and say, "On it." So you can use this as a reply to an open request. So if you like this lesson, make sure you share it with your friends. Now, to say that you accept this task that I just gave you, what can you say? On it, on it. So put that in the comments, on it, but then make sure you actually share this lesson with your friends.
I'm on it.
All right. I'm on it. I'm on it.
I'm on it.
Number 5, could you give me a hand? This is used to ask if someone can help you. Notice for that pronunciation, did you hear that j sound? Could you, could you, give me, could you give me a hand? Repeat after me. Could you give me a hand? Could you give me a hand? Now this is a general request for help, so someone could reply back and say, "Sure, what's up?" They're asking about your needs and wants. "Sure, what's up?" So the person can say, "I need to bring these boxes to the garage." Now the other person can say, "I'm on it," to accept your request for help. I'm on it. You can also specify the activity directly in the question and say, "Could you give me a hand with these boxes?" So notice you use the preposition with and then you specify what help you need. You can also use this to offer someone help. I have 20 boxes to move and they're all really heavy. A very nice coworker could say, I can give you a hand, or I'm happy to give you a hand with that.
Give me a hand.
Yeah.
Maybe you could give me a hand.
Could you give me a handout back?
Number 6, I can't make it. This is to say that you're not available to attend something or go somewhere. In this case, make it means attend or arrive. Now let's talk about the pronunciation. I can't. Notice we don't push out that T. I can't. Just don't push it out. I can't make it. The K sound is on the vowel. Kit. Make it. I can't make it. Repeat after me. I can't make it. I can't make it. Your coworkers could say to you, we're grabbing a bite after we move all the boxes. So they're casually inviting you to join them. And you can say, sorry, I can't make it. I have to pick up my kids. So you can't go, you can't attend. Or you could be on your way to a meeting, but there is an accident and you have to text your coworker and say, traffic is terrible. I'm not going to make the meeting. Start without me. So here, remember, we're just using the verb make instead of attend. Or you could say, I'll try my best to make it tonight. So it might be the party. I'll try my best to make the party. You could also say, I'll try my best to make it to the party.
I can't make it tonight.
Oh, I can make your party tomorrow.
Deb, I can't make it.
Number 7, it's up to you. This is to say that someone is responsible for making the decision. Notice that pronunciation, it's up to you. So we take it's up, we use that S sound, it's up to instead of to, it's up to you. Repeat after me, it's up to you. It's up to you. So if you're planning to watch a movie tonight, you could say to your friend or partner, there are 3 new releases. Which one do you want to watch? And your partner can say, it's up to you. So you're responsible for deciding. It's common to add the reason why. For example, they all look good to me, so it's up to you. This is very commonly used if you give someone 2 choices. Do you want to take the highway or the scenic route? It's up to you. You are responsible for deciding. Again, you can provide the reason why. You're driving, so it's up to you.
It's up to you.
It's up to you. It's up to you.
Are you enjoying this lesson? If you are, then I want to tell you about the Finally Fluent Academy. This is my premium training program where we study native English speakers from TV, the movies, YouTube, and the news so you can improve your listening skills of fast English, expand your vocabulary with natural expressions, and learn advanced grammar easily. Plus, you'll have me as your personal coach. You can look in the description for the link to learn more, or you can go to my website and click on Finally Fluent Academy. Now let's continue with our lesson. Next in this masterclass, you're going to improve your listening skills so you can understand fast-speaking natives. Here are your instructions for the entire lesson. First, you're going to see a sentence and you need to complete the sentence with the missing words. To do that, you're going to listen to a clip of real English and complete the sentence. After, you'll learn how to use the natural expression. Here we go. Our first listening exercise, whatever she, you need to complete the sentence. I'll play it 3 times.
Whatever she dishes out, you can give it right back double. Whatever she dishes out, you can give it right back double. Whatever she dishes out, you can give it right back double.
How'd you do with this one? Whatever she dishes out. Our phrasal verb is to dish out. Now let's review how to use this phrasal verb. To dish out. This simply means to criticize. So when you criticize someone or something, you say something negative about it. For example, she really dished it out to Tom at the meeting. She really criticized Tom at the meeting. Now notice I said dished it out. What's the it? The it represents the criticism. She dished out the criticism. She dished it out to Tom. And we always use this expression with criticism, so you don't need to specify that it. I'm sharing this phrasal verb with you because we have a very common expression in English. You can dish it out, but you can't take it. You can dish it out, which means you freely give criticism to others, but you can't take it. Which means if somebody tries to criticize you, you do not accept that, you become very upset or very angry. So if someone is being very critical, you might say, well, you can dish it out, but can you take it? Can you receive the criticism that you're giving? It's a way to remind someone that maybe you shouldn't criticize others. You can dish it out, but you can't take it. Amazing job. Now pay close attention because at the end of this lesson, I'm going to quiz you to make sure you really know how to use these phrasal verbs. Let's do this listening exercise again. Here's your sentence, and you need to complete the sentence. I'll play it 3 times.
We're all just muddling through, aren't we? We're all just muddling through, aren't we? We're all just muddling through, aren't we?
How'd you do with this one? We're all just muddling through. Let's learn how to use to muddle through. This is when you do or achieve something accidentally without a specific plan. For example, I muddled through making the cake. So maybe I had no idea how to make this cake. I didn't know the procedure. I didn't feel prepared. I muddled through making the cake, but it was actually quite delicious. So sometimes when you muddle through something, the result isn't very positive because you don't actually have a plan. Other times, it can be positive in the end. Amazing job. Number 3. Here's your sentence. You need to complete the sentence. I'll play it 3 times.
I'm excited to nerd out on it. I'm excited to nerd out on it. I'm excited to nerd out on it.
He's excited to nerd out on. This is a fun phrasal verb. Let's learn how to use it. To nerd out. Oh, I love this one. When you nerd out on something, it means you discuss it in great detail. Greater detail than the average person would normally do. For example, I can nerd out on sentence structure all day. I can discuss sentence structure, English sentence structure all day. But my friends who are native English speakers have no interest in discussing English sentence structure. To them, that is boring. But to me as an English teacher, and most likely to you as an English learner, we can nerd out on the English language all day. I can also nerd out on plants, talking about plants, different types of plants, looking at plants. I really love plants as well, but the average person probably doesn't want to discuss it in as much detail as I do. What about you? What's something that you could nerd out on? Nerd out on this specific topic all day. Share that in the comments. Number 4, complete the sentence. I'll play it 3 times.
Of course I'll stick around. Of course I'll stick around. Of course I'll stick around.
Of course, I'll stick around. Let's learn how to use this. To stick around. This is a very common phrasal verb, and it simply means to remain in a place for a period of time. Let's say you just finished dinner with a friend at a restaurant and you drove, but your friend took the bus. So you can just get in your car and leave, but your friend has to wait until the bus comes. So you could say, oh, don't worry, I'll stick around until the bus comes. I'll stay with you at this specific location, the restaurant or the bus stop, until the bus comes. Or let's say you're in the mall and it's raining outside. You might say, well, let's just stick around until it stops raining. So let's stay at this specific location until it stops raining. You'll absolutely use this in your daily speech and hear native speakers using this one all the time. Number 5, I'll play it 3 times.
Wash up for dinner, guys. Wash up for dinner, guys. Wash up for dinner, guys.
Did you get this one? Wash up for dinner. Let's review this phrasal verb, to wash up. This simply means to clean your hands, to wash your hands, and or to wash your face. So before dinner, you could say, oh, I just need to wash up. And most likely you're going to wash your hands. And I commonly say this in the evening before I watch a movie. I could say to my husband, oh, just give me 5 minutes to wash up before we start the movie. And for me, it's to wash my face because I love taking off my makeup before I watch a movie. It's a lot more comfortable. So women might use the wash up for our face more frequently. So it can be for both hands and face. Number 6, here's your sentence. Let's see if you can complete it. I'll play it 3 times.
Now make sure if you leave, you lock up the house. Now make sure if you leave, you lock up the house. Now make sure if you leave, you lock up the house.
How'd you do with this one? Now make sure if you leave, you lock up the house. Very good advice. Let's review this one. To lock up. This is when you securely close your windows and doors or entrances to your house or building. So it's another way of simply saying lock. For example, make sure you lock up before bed. And in that case, it's in your home, and that's of course good advice. But if you work in a building, someone is likely responsible for locking up at the end of the workday. So one person might be responsible for making sure that all the entrances to that building are securely closed or locked. So for example, Sally is responsible for locking up. Number 7, we're going to review one of my favorite TV shows, Parks and Rec. Let's see if you can complete this sentence.
And while he was yammering on about whatever. And while he was yammering on about whatever. And while he was yammering on about whatever.
How'd you do with this one? And while he was yammering on. Let's review this. To yammer on. This is when you talk continuously in an annoying way. For example, I ran into Kate at the mall and she yammered on for hours and I missed my bus. So I ran into Kate. I saw Kate, but I wasn't expecting to see her. I saw her accidentally. I ran into Kate at the mall and she yammered on, oh, hi, Jennifer. I'd love to tell you about my vacation. And then 10 minutes later, she's still talking about her vacation and she doesn't realize that I'm not that interested in her vacation or I'm just busy and need to leave. To yammer on. Number 8, they've been, let's listen 3 times.
They've been mouthing off to me. They've been mouthing off to me. They've been mouthing off to me.
Did you get this one? They've been mouthing off to me. Oh no. Let's review this one. To mouth off. When you mouth off to someone, you speak to that person in a disrespectful way or in an angry way. So this is something that kids, especially teenagers, do to their parents. And when I was a teenager, if I mouthed off to my parents, I would be grounded. When you're grounded, this means that certain privileges are taken away from you. So if you're grounded, maybe you can't go to the movies with your friends, you can't use the car, you can't use the computer, privileges you would normally have in the house.
You're grounded.
You're grounded.
And as adults, we also don't want to mouth off to certain people like our boss or an authority figure like a police officer. Is definitely not a good idea to mouth off. Number 9, yeah, but I. Let's listen 3 times.
Yeah, but I maxed out my credit card. Yeah, but I maxed out my credit card. Yeah, but I maxed out my credit card.
Did you get this one? Yeah, but I maxed out my credit card. Uh-oh. Let's review this. To max out. When you max something out, it means you take that something to a limit. For example, I maxed out my credit cards on vacation. So your credit card has a limit, maybe $10,000. If you maxed out that credit card, it means that you spent $10,000, the maximum amount, the limit of that credit card. Likely not the best idea. And finally, number 10, this is a fun one. Let's listen 3 times.
I'm loading up on carbs. I'm loading up on carbs. I'm loading up on carbs.
How'd you do? I'm loading up on carbs. Let's learn how to use this. To load up on. When you load up on something, it means you consume a lot of that something, or you purchase a lot of that something for a specific purpose. So let's say you're an athlete. Right before a race or a competition, you might load up on carbs. Carbs are carbohydrates, energy for your body. So you want to consume a lot of carbs. Jim loaded up on carbs before the race. Or you could say we loaded up on toilet paper because it was on sale. So we purchased a large amount of toilet paper because it was on sale. So now you have 10 new phrasal verbs, plus you've improved your listening skills of real English. So are you ready for your quiz? Here are the questions. Hit pause, take as much time as you need, and when you're ready for the answers, hit play. How'd you do with that quiz? Let's find out. Here are the answers. Hit pause, review them, and when you're ready, hit play. Next in this masterclass, you're going to improve your reading. But think of all the different skills that you need in order to read. To help you read better, in this section, you'll expand your vocabulary. You'll learn correct grammar and sentence structure, and you'll even improve your pronunciation because I'm going to read out loud and you can imitate my pronunciation. First, I'll read the headline. Locks of Beethoven's hair offer new clues to the mystery of his deafness. So let's talk about this. A lock of hair. Well, you can see it in the picture right here. This represents a lock of his hair. Now, a lock is just a section of hair. So it would be more than one individual piece, which you can't even see really. But one piece of hair is called a strand of hair. And hair doesn't take an S, is uncountable. So you could say, you have really thick hair, Or, oh no, there's some hair in my food. So you can use some to say more than one, but you don't add an S to hair. I wrote that for you, and notice there is a way to make hair plural, but you don't make hair plural, you make the noun strand. Remember, one strand is one single hair, but you can say there are some strands, so you add the S on strand. There are some strands of hair in my food. So that's how you could emphasize the fact that it's plural, but this is a more natural thing to say. Oh no, there's some hair in my food. We've all experienced this. And remember, a lock is when you take a piece, but you would cut it off. So right now it's just hair. But if you take scissors, you cut it. And I think in the past, you might put a decorative ribbon on this, and it would be a keepsake or a momentum or something you give to a loved one or a family member. I don't think that is a tradition here anymore, but I believe it was in the past. So here it's plural because there was more than one group of Beethoven's hair. Now, these locks of hair, because locks is plural, these locks of hair offer new clues to the mystery of his deafness. Notice deafness, this is functioning as a noun and it belongs to him, his deafness. To describe someone, you would use the adjective deaf and the verb to be. He is deaf. Now, Beethoven is dead, so you change that to the past simple. He was deaf. So this is the adjective form and this is the noun form, his deafness. Don't worry about taking notes because I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. You can find the link in the description. Let's continue. Using powerful technologies, scientists found staggering amounts of lead and other toxic substances in the composer's hair. So let's pause there and let's look at staggering amounts. A staggering amount is a very high amount. You can use this in an everyday context, like describing the rain. There was a staggering amount of rain today. Or maybe I have a staggering amount of work to do this weekend or this week. Now, you can also use this as a reply to someone. We got 10 inches of rain today. Wow, that's staggering. That's a very high amount. So a very useful adjective to sound advanced. Staggering amounts of lead and other toxic substances. Notice the pronunciation here. As the metal is pronounced lead. Lead. Does that sound familiar to you? Because that's how you pronounce the past simple of the verb to lead, which has the same spelling as the metal lead. Let's see if you can get the correct pronunciations based on context. I always lead presentations because you lead a presentation. I always lead presentations on lead, on the metal, on lead. But yesterday, my colleague led, the past simple of the verb lead is pronounced like the metal, led. But yesterday, my colleague led the presentation on, this is easy, on lead. I'll read this one more time. I always lead presentations on lead, but yesterday, my colleague led the presentation on lead. So you can practice that and maybe quiz your friends too. Lead and other toxic substances in the composer's hair. So the composer being Beethoven, that was his job title. He was a composer. In the composer's hair that may have come from wine or other sources. The use of may is important here because it suggests possibility but not fact. And notice may is a modal verb. So what do you notice here? What do you need grammatically? Modal plus base verb. may have. Now, what if I wanted to take this and make it sound like a fact, not a possibility? What would I say? In the composer's hair, that came from wine. So if I use the past simple of the verb, the main verb here is come, have is the auxiliary, may is the modal. In the composer's hair, that came from wine. That sounds like a completed past action, so it sounds like a fact. May have come is a possibility. Let's continue. These are the highest, what is this? What's the pronunciation? These are the highest lead values. So the value, the amount of the metal being lead, the highest lead values in hair I've ever seen, the Mayo Clinic added. Wow, that's staggering. This is the perfect time where you could reply and say, wow, that's staggering. The highest amount that this clinic has ever seen. Wow, that's staggering. Beethoven's hair. Instead of hair, what could you say if you wanted to talk about a group or section of hair that was cut? Beethoven's locks. Now you could put it singular, lock of hair, which I have, but in the headline, it was plural. So we can say Beethoven's locks. The apostrophe S is to show possession, that the hair or the locks belong to Beethoven. And of course, I'm not going to add the S here because it's uncountable. Beethoven's hair also had arsenic. Arsenic. This is a chemical, poisonous chemical. Arsenic levels 13 times what is normal. Wow, that's staggering. You can use that adjective again. You could say, Beethoven's hair also had staggering amounts of arsenic, or staggering levels, because they used the word level, staggering levels of arsenic. And mercury levels, mercury is a chemical element, mercury levels that were 4 times the normal amount. Also staggering. But the high amounts of lead in particular could have caused many of his ailments, Dr. Janetto said. Let's review the pronunciation here. Don't get confused by this beginning. Don't look at the word, just listen to my voice. Ailments, ailments. And an ailment is an illness or health problem, but it sounds more permanent and severe. Generally used with the elderly, but of course, any age group can have ailments. My grandmother has many ailments. So this means my grandmother has many health problems or illnesses, and it sounds like they're more permanent. Let's look at in particular. Notice how this is between commas, because you can remove this and the sentence would be grammatically correct. So I could say, but the high amounts of lead could have caused many of his ailments. In particular is focusing on lead. It's putting the importance on lead compared to the other things that were referenced. So here they referenced arsenic and mercury. So these affected Beethoven, but it was lead in particular that caused many of his ailments. So it's the one that the author wants you to pay attention to the most. Notice again, they said could have caused. This is easy for you now because you know that we have our modal, could, followed by the base verb, could have. And this is also used for possibility. So same thing we did before. If you want to state this as a fact, what would you say? But the high amounts of lead in particular caused. You would just take the past simple of the main verb. In this case, the verb is cause. Caused many of his ailments, and that would sound like a fact. Let's continue. The analysis updates a report from last year when the same team said Beethoven did not have lead poisoning. Now, with thorough testing, Thorough. Listen to the pronunciation. Thorough. Thorough. Thorough means extensive, in depth. Thorough testing. Practice that pronunciation. Thorough. Thorough. Now with thorough testing, they say that he had enough lead in his system to, at the very least, explain his deafness and illnesses. So instead of illnesses, you could say ailments. Remember that pronunciation, ailments. Ailments, illnesses. Because an illness also sounds like it's more permanent than, for example, just saying, oh, I have a cold. A cold, you get it and then you recover, but an illness could be more permanent. Let's look at the very least, because again, this is between two commas, so I can read it without. They say that he had enough lead in his system to explain his deafness and illnesses, including at the very least. It sounds like, well, it could explain more problems that he had, but it explains his deafness and explains his illnesses, and it's possible it explains other things as well. What those things are, I have no idea because the article didn't explain it. So I could say this lesson will help you improve your reading skills at the very least. So it sounds like you could also do other things. It could also help you expand your vocabulary, improve your pronunciation, fix your common grammar mistakes, learn advanced grammar, improve your confidence speaking, but it will improve your reading at the very least. And if you agree that this lesson could help you improve many areas of your English, or at the very least your reading, put that's right in the comments. Now let's continue. One likely source of Beethoven's high levels of lead was cheap wine. Oh, so this is the culprit. The culprit is what causes the lead, causes the something. So one likely source, this is what caused the lead. You could say one likely culprit, but we only use culprit for negative things, whereas a source could be used for positive things. One likely source of improving your English, becoming happier. So those are positive things, but culprit is when you identify something that causes a negative. So the source or the culprit of his high levels, his staggering levels of lead, was cheap wine. Cheap in this case meaning inexpensive. But cheap is also used for quality and for price. You could say, oh wow, that's really cheap. But it's possible that the quality of that item is still very high. It's just maybe there's a sale that makes the price cheap, inexpensive. But we also use cheap to describe the quality. Oh, this shirt is really cheap, which means that the material is not high quality, which I don't agree. This is not a cheap shirt, although it wasn't very expensive. So I would say the price was cheap, but the quality is not cheap. Lead in the form of lead acetate. I don't know what lead acetate is. Never heard this before. Now, lead acetate, also called lead sugar, has a sweet taste. Okay, so lead acetate is something that if you drink it, which you should not do, has a sweet taste. In Beethoven's time, it was often added to poor quality wine. So in this case, poor quality, I used the adjective inferior quality, but you can absolutely say poor quality. You could also say cheap wine to mean that the quality is poor. Poor quality, cheap wine to make it taste better. Oh, in Beethoven's time. This means in the time period that he was alive. And to be honest, I'm not sure when that was. I'm sure we don't do this anymore with wine, but in Beethoven's time, it was probably a common practice. Let's continue. Wine was also fermented in kettles soldered with lead. Don't let the spelling influence your pronunciation. So don't look at the word, listen to my voice. Soldered, ordered, soldered, soldered with lead. I only know this word because I've heard my husband use it, talking about soldering things together, which I understand is connecting them together. So to solder is when you take two pieces of metal, and if you want to form one piece, you solder them. So you basically glue them together. However, I am not an expert in this, but I will confirm that the pronunciation is solder, to solder. To solder, so the kettles soldered with lead. So the kettles that they used to ferment the wine were connected together, and the glue or material that they used to connect it together contained lead, soldered with lead, which would leach out as the wine aged. Okay, so to leach out, so here we have our kettle, two pieces of the kettle, you connect it together, you solder it, so now it's one piece. And then around the seams, the points where the metal is connected, the seams, that is a glue-like material. So if it leaches out, it means it slowly is added. So it's slowly added to whatever it's in, and in this case, it's wine. So if this cup if there was lead paint on this cup, let's certainly hope there isn't. If it leached out, it would slowly add to my tea in this cup. Now, let's hope that isn't happening. Let's talk about would. First, it's a modal verb, so you need your base verb. Leach out. This is a phrasal verb, so you have your verb and preposition. Notice that pronunciation, each, leach, leach out. In this case, would is used to talk about a habitual past action. So an action that happened in the past, but it happened repeatedly, habitually. For example, in Beethoven's time, they would add lead to wine. So they did this repeatedly, but it's in the past. You could also say in Beethoven's time, they added lead to wine, but this is unclear if it just happened once or if it was a habitual. So if you want to make it clear that it's a habitual, you can use would add in the past. And corks on wine bottles were pre-soaked in lead salt to improve the seal. Aren't we lucky that we didn't grow up in Beethoven's time? Pre-soaked, so if you soak something, you put it in water for a period of time. And they did this before they put the cork, the top, on the wine bottle. Beethoven drank copious amounts of wine. Listen to the pronunciation, copious. So not cop, is copious, copious, copious amounts of wine. Copious means large amounts, but it also means more than enough. So it has more of a negative sound to it, where staggering can be used positively. Our sales are staggering, so very high. And that's positive, of course. In this case, I would replace it with the word excessive, which also has that negative sound to it because it's more than enough. The rain was staggering, but maybe you needed a lot of rain. The rain was excessive, too much rain, more than you wanted. Beethoven drank copious amounts of wine, about a bottle a day. So this gives you an example of how much. And later in his life, even more. Wow. Believing it was good for his health. So he had a reason. He thought it was good for him. And also because he had become addicted to it. Oh, so not a positive reason here. He had become addicted to it. This is our past perfect because we're talking about a past before another past. In the last few days before his death at age 56 in 1827, so this is in Beethoven's time, in the 1820s. That's how you could represent it. You could say 1827, but that's the specific age he was when he died. So I guess you would go 50 years early to talk about when he was born, but you could say in the 1820s, the early 1800s, you could express it like that. His friends gave him wine by the spoonful. So they had a spoon and they gave him wine by the spoonful, likely because he was too sick to drink it himself. So before his death at age 56. To say this in a standard sentence, you would say he died, the past simple. He died when he was 56. You can end it there. Many native speakers will. Or you can say years. There's a S on years. Years old. He died when he was 56. He died when he was 56 years old. Both are correct. Over the years, Beethoven consulted many doctors, trying treatment after treatment for his ailments. Remember that pronunciation, ailments, illnesses, health problems that are more permanent, his ailments, and his deafness. We talked about this, the noun form of to be deaf, his deafness, but found no relief. At one point, he was using ointments. An ointment is a medical cream that you apply to your skin, and then you could rub it in. So that would be an ointment. So it's just in a cream or gel or liquid form. Using ointments and taking 75 medicines because plural here, for 75, many of which most likely contained lead. Poor Beethoven. And thank goodness we didn't grow up in the early 1800s for obvious reasons and for many different reasons. Let's look at the pronunciation of this. Ointment, oin. So a very nasal sound, kind of like a pig makes. Ointments, ointments. So the end here is more of a mint, and then plural, ointments. Now, I paused at medicines originally and said it's plural because it sounded a little weird to me, and I just searched it, and previously it was very common to say medicines, and likely because they're talking about Beethoven's time, maybe that's why they use medicines, because in his time, it could have been the choice. But today, I would say medications. And I know that would be commonly used in North America. Medicine is used in more of a general sense. So I might ask my husband, do we have any medicine? Do we have any pills with medical ingredients? Do we have any medicine? I have a headache. Do we have any medicine? But a medication is a specific medicine prescribed by a doctor to treat a specific illness. But medicine is just a more general terminology. The doctor prescribed 2 medications. So although this was understandable, I did pause and read it again because it sounded a little odd to me. So in common North American usage, we use medicine in a more general context and medication to talk about something specific a doctor prescribed to you. And that is the end of our article. So what I'll do now is I'll read the article and from start to finish. And this time you can focus on my pronunciation because we did have a lot of interesting pronunciation in this article. So let's do that now. Locks of Beethoven's hair offer new clues to the mystery of his deafness. Using powerful technologies, scientists found staggering amounts of lead and other toxic substances in the composer's hair that may have come from wine or other sources. These are the highest lead values in hair I've ever seen, the Mayo Clinic added. Beethoven's hair also had arsenic levels 13 times what is normal and mercury levels that were 4 times the normal amount. But the high amounts of lead, in particular, could have caused many of his ailments, Dr. Janetto said. The analysis updates a report from last year when the same team said Beethoven did not have lead poisoning. Now, with thorough testing, they say that he had enough lead in his system to, at the very least, explain his deafness and illnesses. One likely source of Beethoven's high levels of lead was cheap wine. Lead, in the form of lead acetate, also called lead sugar, has a sweet taste. In Beethoven's time, it was often added to poor quality wine to make it taste better. Wine was also fermented in kettles soldered with lead, which would leach out as the wine aged. And corks on wine bottles were pre-soaked in lead salt to improve the seal. Beethoven drank copious amounts of wine, about a bottle a day, and later in his life even more, believing it was good for his health, and also because he had become addicted to it. In the last few days before his death at age 56 in 1827, his friends gave him wine by the spoonful. Over the years, Beethoven consulted many doctors, trying treatment after treatment for his ailments and his deafness, but found no relief. At one point, he was using ointments and taking 75 medicines, many of which most likely contained lead. Now let's focus on your grammar. You're going to learn the 5 verb tenses that make up 96% of speech, and you need to master these verb tenses to truly become fluent. So to make sure you mastered them, there's a quiz at the end of this section. The 5 verb tenses are the present simple, which makes up 57.51% of speech, the past simple, which makes up 19.7%, the future simple at 8.5%, the present perfect at 6%, and the present continuous at 5.1% of a native speaker's speech. And the total of all 5 verb tenses is 96.81% of speech. So let's make sure that you feel very confident using all 5 verb tenses. And don't worry, because I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. So you can look in the description for the link to download the PDF. And at the end of this lesson, there's going to be a quiz to make sure you really understand these verb tenses. So let's start with the present simple. And pay close attention, because I correct mistakes from my advanced students in the Finally Fluent Academy. They make mistakes with the present simple almost every time they submit their practice exercises. So pay close attention. Let's review the structure. For the subjects I, you, we, and they, you add the base verb. Now for the subjects he, she, it, you add the base verb plus s or es. And this is one of the most common mistakes that my advanced students make, forgetting to add that s. So don't forget that s for he, she, it subjects. The present simple is used to describe routines, habits in your daily life. For example, I eat breakfast every day at 6:00 a.m. It's also used to describe general facts and truths. For example, the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. And notice I added those s's because the sun is it. He, she, it, you need those s's. It's also used for feelings, emotions, and states of beings. We are very excited for the concert tonight. Now here's one that most of my students don't use correctly, and the present simple is also used for timetable events, even if that event is in the future. For example, the train leaves at 5 a.m. tomorrow. It's very common to use an adverb of frequency with the present simple, which is one easy way that you can identify it. The most common adverbs of frequency are every day or always for 7 times a week, often, usually, or frequently for about 4 to 6 times a week, sometimes for 3 to 4 times a week, rarely or seldom for 1 to 2 times a week, and never for 0 times a week. So let's practice this just for fun. Share something silly that you never do or always do in the comments below. For example, I never brush my teeth while I'm driving. So share something silly in the comments just to have a little fun. Now let's move on to the past simple. To form the past simple, you have your subject, and then you have your base verb plus ed, or an irregular past simple verb, and there are many irregular verbs, so you simply need to memorize them. The past simple is used for an action that started and finished at a specific time in the past. For example, I went to the store yesterday. She took a shower at 8 a.m., but now it is 11 a.m., so 8 a.m. is in the past. They ordered pizza for dinner, and now it's 10 o'clock at night, so dinner is in the past. We sang all night, but I'm talking about maybe yesterday or the night before, so it's in the past. Let's review some past simple keywords so you can easily identify when you need to use this verb tense. Yesterday, last week, month, or year, in 2020, at 3:30 p.m., 4 hours ago, on Monday, on July 15th, when I graduated, or during the meeting. And remember, all of those keywords, the action started and finished in the past. Now let's talk about the future simple, another verb tense I see a lot of mistakes with. The structure is very easy. You have your subject, will, and base verb. It's the same for all subjects, which makes it easy. This verb tense is used to make predictions, but when it's based on your opinion, not facts. Argentina will win the World Cup. This is just my opinion. I don't know this as a fact. Someone else could say, I think France will win the World Cup. Notice here I added I think. It's very common to use an opinion word with the future simple. This verb tense is used for spontaneous actions or decisions, which means they were not planned in advance. For example, let's say you see a woman struggling with her grocery bags, and she has many grocery bags. You can say, I'll help you with those bags. You didn't plan this in advance. It was a spontaneous action. It's also used with promises, commitments, offers, or refusals. If you say, I'll send you the report at 5 p.m., you're making a promise or a commitment. It's like saying, I promise I'll send you the report at 5 p.m. So the other person will expect it if you use the future simple. Now let's talk about the present perfect, a verb tense that confuses a lot of students, but absolutely you must know how to use it. The structure is I, you, we, they, plus have, plus the past participle. And you simply need to memorize all the past participles. Now for the subjects he, she, it, you need to use has as your auxiliary verb and the past participle. Now, did you know that the present perfect is also used with the completed past action, but one that has a result or consequence in the present? For example, I have eaten. That is a completed past action. Now, it's common to use already, but it's not required. I have already eaten. So what's the result in the present? So now I'm not hungry. It's also used for life experience when it's an unfinished timeline. For example, she's been to Panama twice. Now, because she is alive, she can go to Panama again, so it's an unfinished time reference. Or you could say, I haven't seen that movie yet. Yet is a keyword for the present perfect, and we use it in negative sentences. And by saying yet, you're letting the person know that it's still possible for you to watch that movie in the future, so it's an unfinished time reference. Now, the present perfect is also used for an action that started in the past and continues until now, but only with 3 common verbs: live, work, and study. For example, they've lived in that house for 20 years. They still live there now, and it started in the past. It started 20 years ago. Very important point, you can't use a specific time reference with the present perfect. You must use the past simple. This is a very common mistake that I see my students make. So you can't say, I've tried sushi last week, because last week is a specific past time reference. So you would have to say, I tried sushi last week. Or you could get rid of last week and say, I've tried sushi. Let's move on to our last verb tense, the present continuous. The structure is I am plus verb in your ing form, your gerund verb. You, we, they, are plus verb in ing. Or he, she, it, is plus verb in ing. So don't forget, you have to conjugate the verb to be according to the subject. The present continuous is used for an action that is currently taking place. Right now, now. So I could say, my students are, because the subject is they, my students are watching my video right now, right? You're watching this video right now. You can also use the present continuous with the future if it's a planned action in the future. For example, he's attending the conference next month. It's in the future, but it's planned. He's attending the conference next month. Or she's performing at the World Cup in 2026. So even though it's way in the future, you can still use the present continuous if it's a planned event. An important note that you should know, because I know it might confuse students. Native speakers use the present continuous with always to stress the continuation of something negative. She is always coming to work late. So instead of saying she always comes to work late, because always is a keyword for the present simple, native speakers frequently put this in the present continuous. I don't recommend that you do that because it really depends on the context if it sounds correct or incorrect. But grammatically, it's always correct to use the present simple with always. So that's what I recommend that you do. I'm just sharing this so you don't get confused when you hear a native speaker say, she is always coming to work late. Now you know the 5 verb tenses that make up 96% of your speech. So are you ready for your quiz to make sure you really know how to use them? Here are the questions. Hit pause and take as much time as you need. And when you're ready to continue, hit play. Here are the answers. Hit pause, review the answers, and when you're ready to continue, hit play. You are doing such an amazing job in this masterclass. Now you're going to practice speaking with me, because in order to speak, you need the words, the vocabulary, you need the words in the right order, the grammar and sentence structure, and you need the correct pronunciation so you're understood. So you'll practice all these areas and have a lot of fun in this next section. Let's get started.
So, what are we going to talk about today? Well, in this English speaking practice class, you're going to be catching up with a friend. To catch up with a friend. This is a great expression, an expression that native speakers use all the time. It's absolutely part of my vocabulary. I use this when I'm sending messages to arrange social gatherings with my friends. I'll say, hey, do you want to catch up? Do you want to catch up over coffee? We need to catch up. Let's catch up soon. So, what does it mean to catch up with a friend? Does anyone know? If you know, put it in the comments. What does it mean to catch up with a friend? This is absolutely an expression you need to have in your vocabulary. To catch up with a friend. Well, this is when you learn what's new with someone since you last spoke. So let's say I'm catching up with my friend Paolo, and I haven't seen Paolo in 6 months. So when I catch up with Paolo, I'm going to learn everything that's new in Paolo's life since the last time we spoke, which was 6 months ago. So, of course, it's very important to use this when you're in social interactions. Oh, let's catch up. We need to catch up. Let's catch up soon. And that's exactly what we're doing in our English speaking practice class. You're catching up with a friend. And guess what? I'm your friend. I'm your friend that you're catching up with. When was the last time we saw each other? Well, maybe it was a week ago. Maybe it was 3 days ago. Maybe it was 6 months ago. So you can use this expression to catch up with a friend if you haven't seen each other for weeks, months, years. But you can also use this if you haven't seen someone even for days. So we're catching up. I'm your friend. You're my friend. So let's catch up. Let's imagine that we're having a tea or a coffee, water, orange juice, whatever your drink of choice is. This is tea for me. So we're having a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, and we're catching up. I'm going to ask you questions to learn what's new with you, what's new with your life, and I want you to speak out loud. I already see some amazing comments. Vladimir said, long time no see. Absolutely. This is a great expression. And actually, it's one that you're going to learn. So amazing job. And Vladimir also said, how have you been? Vladimir, you're doing an amazing job. So let's practice this more because you're already using some of my expressions. Okay, so we're catching up with a friend. We're friends. You know what this means to learn what's new with someone since you last spoke. So we're catching up with a friend, and here are your instructions. I'm going to ask you the questions at first, and I want you to answer my questions out loud. Now, this is very important because right now, let's say that Vladimir says, how have you been? And you just think the answer in your head. Are you practicing your speaking? What do you think? Yes or no? Right now. Am I practicing my speaking skills? No, because there are no words coming out of my mouth. So right now you might be in a public place. Even if you are, you can say it very quietly and still open your mouth and say the words. If you are in a very public place and you don't feel comfortable doing that, well, make sure you repeat this exercise when you are in a private place and you practice that, okay? But I really want you to open your mouth and say the answer out loud. And then, of course, you're going to learn a lot of expressions and great vocabulary along the way. So, are you ready for my first question to you? Let's see. What's my first question? Okay, so your name is James. So imagine your name is James, whatever your name is, and I say, hi, long time no see. That is exactly what Vladimir said. So, this is the first thing I would say to a friend if I have not seen them for a long time. I would say, hi. Hi, Vladimir. Hi, Mozab. Hi, Yuzu. Hi, Iman. Hi, Annika. Hi, Habrira. And I would say, long time no see. So now I want you to open your mouth. Long time no see. What could you say back as a reply? Open your mouth and say the answer out loud. Long time no see. And what are you going to say? Well, don't worry because we're going to practice this together, okay? But first of all, here's what you could say. You could say, I know, I know. And notice how I'm putting some enthusiasm into that. I'm not saying, I know, I know. I know, with some enthusiasm. Everyone, repeat that out loud. Repeat after me. I know, with enthusiasm. I know, I know. Now you can add on and say, it's been too long. It's been too long. And notice you can emphasize that word too because this is an intensifier. So you can make the sound of this longer to intensify it. So repeat this. It's been too long. It's been too long. And did you get that contraction? What do we have here as this contraction? It apostrophe S. What is that? What is that as a contraction? Do you know what word that represents? It apostrophe S? Well, this is it has been. It has been too long because this is in what verb tense? The present perfect. It has been, notice that pronunciation, been. It's been, it has been, it's been. It's been too long. So let's try this all together. So I'm going to do my part, long time no see. And then I want you to repeat this out loud and remember to try to imitate my pronunciation as closely as possible. I'll say it one more time so you have it in your mind. I know, it's been too long. Here we go. Hi, long time no see. Did you open your mouth and say it out loud? Because remember, you need to practice your speaking. So opening your mouth, saying the words, hearing your voice, hearing yourself form that contraction, hearing yourself elongate those sounds, which is very common in English pronunciation. This is how you're going to feel confident, and this is also how you're going to improve your pronunciation. All right. So one question here, Yuzu asked, is it different? It has been too long and it has been a while. So excellent question. Remember in spoken English, to sound very advanced, to sound very natural, I recommend using that contraction. It's been a while. It's been too long. And I'm saying that because this is what I hear. This is what native speakers use. So if you want to sound more natural, sound more fluent, then use the language that we use. It's been too long. It's been a while. There's a very subtle difference between these two, Yuzu, but ultimately you can use one or the other and it doesn't matter. It's been a while means that it has been a period of time because a while is not specific. Now, the subtle difference with too long, if I say I have too much work, I'm saying the amount of work I have is more than I want or need. So if I say it's been too long, I'm really saying to you, I wish we had seen each other earlier. Whereas it's been a while, it's just a statement saying it's been a period of time. It's not necessarily saying, I wish we had seen each other sooner. But honestly, they're very similar in meaning. So that's the subtle difference. Great question. All right. And Mozab asked, it has been an ages. Does this make sense? Okay, so that's what you would say. Does this make sense? Not an ages. You would say it's been ages. It has been as a contraction, it's been, and then just the word ages. It's been ages. And in this case, ages means a period of time. So this is a substitute for it's been a while. It's been ages. And ages sounds like a long period of time. It's been ages since we last spoke, which sounds great, very natural. And remember to use that contraction. It's been. Okay. So let's move on to our next question. Are you ready for the next question? Remember, catching up with a friend. What have you been up to? So this is the next thing. Very early on in my conversation, I would meet my friend. Hi, long time no see. What have you been up to? What have you been up to? Been up to. What have you been up to? Do you know how to answer this? Try right now, whatever comes to your mind. Don't worry if it's right or wrong. We're just practicing. So what is the first thing that you think of as an answer? What have you been up to? Say it out loud. What have you been up to? You must know how to answer this question because socially, this is one of the first questions native speakers ask each other. What have you been up to? So let's look at this a little closely. So what have you been up to? You can add on lately or recently because this is in the present perfect, but you don't have to. You can just use what have you been up to and end on to. But if you want, you can add on lately, recently. They're both keywords for the present perfect. Now, this is an action that started in the past and continues until now. Now, been up to, this is just a substitute for doing. So what have you been doing? So up to, you can replace that with the word doing. What have you been doing lately, recently? What have you been up to lately, recently? Because remember, we're catching up with a friend. I'm catching up with you. I haven't seen you in a week, a month, a year. So I want to know, what have you been doing? What have you been up to? Now, here's a hint for you to answer this, to make the answer more approachable, something you can accomplish easily. Just name one thing. Because if I haven't seen you for 1 year, you have been doing many, many things. Of course you have, but just name one, either the most recent or the most interesting. That's the best way to answer this. So maybe you could say, I started a new job. What have you been up to lately? Well, I started a new job. Notice it's in the past simple because the action started in the past. It's a completed past action. I started a new job. We're remodeling our kitchen. So notice this is in what verb tense? We're remodeling our kitchen. What verb tense is this? The present continuous, because the action is taking place now. This is in progress. If I go to my kitchen right now, it's a disaster. We're remodeling our kitchen. To remodel means that you're changing the look of it, you're making it more modern, you're painting it, you're changing the colors, you're getting new cupboards, new appliances, things like that. We're remodeling our kitchen. I'm learning how to play guitar. Again, what verb tense is this? The present continuous, because you're doing it right now. I'm learning how to play guitar. Or, of course, you might say, I've been focused on improving my speaking skills. So this is in the present perfect, because it's an action that started in the past and continues until now. So this is what I suggest for the question, what have you been up to? So I want you to just name one thing And remember, you can have different verb tenses because it could be a past action, it could be in progress, or it could be an action that started in the past or continues until now. So think of one thing. I'll give you a second and let's practice speaking. Remember, I want you to open your mouth and say the answer out loud. One thing, okay? I'll ask you again. Hi, long time no see. So, what have you been up to? Did you state that one thing? What have you been up to? Well, Math Physics said, I have been working on a new project. Excellent. And what verb conjugation is this? Who knows? This is the present perfect continuous because it started in the past and Math Physics is still working on this project now. And Iman said, just working and focusing on my relationship with my family. Yeah, absolutely. So Iman provided 2 points, but still, that's great because it's short, it's concise. Just working, focusing on my relationship with my family. That's wonderful. All right. And Pearl said, I have been preparing my IELTS. Excellent, Pearl. That is a wonderful thing to be focusing on. Now, just one thing. Does anyone know? There's a little mistake in this, Pearl. I just want to correct it because if you are preparing your IELTS, it's really important that you fix this one mistake. What's the one mistake here? Does anyone know? Pearl, you need to have the preposition for. You don't prepare something, you prepare for something. I've been, because it started in the past and continues until now, I've been preparing for my IELTS. So I just wanted to share that with you, Pearl, because it is extremely important that you get prepositions for your IELTS. But great job, Pearl. I wish you the best of luck. I'm sure you're going to do awesome. So everyone put go Pearl go, go Pearl go in the comments. All right. And Annika and Ansia says, I've been improving my English speaking. Wonderful. And great job getting that contraction. I've been improving. This is a great way to instantly sound more advanced, sound more like a native speaker is to use that contraction. I've been improving my English speaking. Great, great initiative. Okay. Amazing. So we know, what have you been up to? This is absolutely a must know in any social conversation. You can ask your colleagues this as well. Oh, so what have you been up to? And it could be in a work context. Oh, I've been working on the Jones report. I've been reorganizing our filing system. So you can use this in a work context as well. All right. So we talked about just naming one thing to keep it simple and approachable. You can use different verb tenses. So my next question. Now in North America, we're in summer. Technically, we're still in spring. We're going into summer. But I understand the country you're in, you might not have our 4 seasons. Maybe you're going into the rainy season, or you're going into winter, or you're going into the dry season. So whatever season you're approaching, just think of that season, okay? So you can replace summer with whatever season you're going in. And let me know in the comments. I always find it so interesting, the different seasons around the world. So let me know, what season are you going into? In North America, right now we're in spring and we're approaching summer. So if I'm catching up with a friend, of course I want to know, any big plans this summer? Any big plans this winter, rainy season, dry season, whatever it might be? Any big plans this summer? So again, I want you to answer this out loud. Don't worry about getting the right answer. Just say the first thing that comes to your mind, and I want you to open your mouth and say the answer. So I'll ask you again. Any big plans this summer? Any big plans this summer? All right, well, let's see Now, notice for the question, I just said any big plans. This is how we speak in spoken English. We often drop auxiliary verbs or subjects if they're not necessary to understand the meaning. We also do this in informal written English. So if I'm sending a quick text message to a friend, even a colleague, even my boss, but my boss and I have a close relationship, so I communicate with my boss in a more informal way, I would absolutely use this in informal writing as well. However, if you are writing anything formal, academic, or for IELTS purposes, you need to use the full sentence structure. But let's just practice this. Any big plans this summer? I want you to repeat that out loud. Any big plans this summer? Awesome. Now for your answer. Now, again, you can just state one thing to make this easy for you to answer because you might have 20 plans, 3 plans. You might have more than one. You might have a lot, but you can just answer one. Now, notice how I said yes. Why did I say yes here? Yes. Because technically, this is a yes or no question. Do you have any big plans this summer? Yes, I do. No, I don't. So to start my answer, I'll say yes. We're going on a family vacation to Disney World. So again, you can just choose one thing. Now, most likely that one thing is going to be in the future. It's possible that it could be in the present perfect because it started in the past and continues until now, but most likely it's going to be in the future. So let's practice this. I'm going to ask you again, and I want you to answer out loud. Any big plans this summer? Let's see what people said. Forever said, hiking with my friends on Sundays. Yeah, exactly. Great job, Forever. And if you want, it's not a requirement, but if you want, you can start with yes, because it's a yes, no question. But again, it's not a requirement, just an option. Yes, hiking with my friends on Sundays. Okay, and Harpriya, very nice name, Harpriya. I will go to Scotland on holidays with my family. Okay, very nice, very nice. This is a great answer. I haven't decided yet. And great verb conjugation as well. I haven't decided yet. Yet is a key word for the present perfect. Excellent. Goitom said, I'm going to visit my family. Very nice. Excellent. Now let's see. We have a no answer, which is absolutely acceptable. No, I have no plans for the summer, but I hope I could have planned a short trip. Exactly. You can absolutely say no. I have no plans for the summer, but I hope I can plan a short trip, but I hope I can plan a short trip. Okay. And Soha said, I'm going to swimming class this summer. Exactly. That sounds fun. So you can start with yes. You don't have to, but yes, I'm going to swimming class this summer. Very nice. Pearl, yes, I do. Exactly. Do you have? So notice Pearl answered, yes, I do. Because I do have big plans. Yes, I do. I'm going to New Zealand. That is wonderful, Pearl. I have never been to New Zealand and I would love to go. So enjoy your time. All right. Mozab said, I'm going to study English with Jennifer. Well, thank you, Mozab. I appreciate that. Okay. Our next question. Everyone, you are doing so great. So we're catching up. Hi, long time no see. How have you been? What have you been up to? Any big plans this summer? Now, when you're having a conversation with someone, of course, you're going to ask them about future activities. What are you doing this summer? But you can, of course, ask them about the past. So remember, I said right now in North America, we're in spring. We just finished winter and we're going into summer. So it's very common that I could ask my friend, you, about the last season, the season we just finished. So again, for you, maybe it's not winter, maybe it's summer, maybe it's the rainy season, the dry season, whatever it is for you. So I can ask you, did you travel anywhere this winter? Remember, I want you to open your mouth and say the answer. Did you travel anywhere this winter? So, did you? Did you, Pearl? Did you, Anas? Did you, Stella? Did you, Najib? Boris? Nazir? Did you travel anywhere this winter? Tomas? Did you travel anywhere this winter? Remember, open your mouth and say the answer out loud because I want you to practice your speaking. Of course, you can write the answer in the comments. Writing it is absolutely a wonderful way to practice, but make sure in addition to writing, you also open your mouth and say the answer. Did you travel anywhere this winter? So let's say you didn't, because in the last one, we answered yes. We answered positively. So let's practice answering negatively. So you could say no. Now you could provide the reason why. And then to expand on this, to make it more conversational, you could provide one interesting thing you did. So no, you didn't travel, but you did something, right? You still did activities, whatever those activities are. So choose the one that first comes to your mind, the most interesting one, and then answer that instead. But remember, no, the reason why, and then one interesting thing you did. So let's see a potential answer, and then you can practice this yourself. So no, we didn't. Notice that contraction, didn't. You can push out that T if it's at the end of a sentence because you're taking a pause anyway. No, we didn't. Practice that. No, we didn't. Didn't. Practice that out loud and imitate my pronunciation. Shadow my pronunciation. No, we didn't. Now, we, because it represents you and your family, but you could, of course, say, no, I didn't as well. No, we didn't. Now, the reason why. Winter is very busy for me at work. That's a potential reason why, whatever your reason is. And then one interesting thing, or the first thing you think of, but, because but is it's a connection word. It's a transition word. It helps you go from a negative, no, I didn't travel, to a positive, I did something interesting. But I remodeled our kitchen over winter. Now notice remodeled is in the ED because it's a completed past action. So right now my kitchen is fully complete. Everything is done. It's painted, new cupboards, new appliances. It's fully done. Okay, so now your turn to practice. So no, we didn't. No, I didn't. The reason and one thing you did instead. Okay, we'll practice this as spoken practice. Did you travel anywhere this winter? Did you travel anywhere this winter? All right, let's see. What do we have here? Oh, here's one. HM said, no, I didn't. I was busy with my occupation and my own chores. Your occupation, you mean your work? I would just say I was busy with work. I was busy with work. And my own chores, you can add that as well. Now, HM, not a requirement, but you can expand on and say one interesting thing you did. Or the first thing that comes to your mind, just to expand on this. Because a lot of students say, Jennifer, I open my mouth, but just one-word answers, very short answers come out. I want to expand on my ideas. Well, this is a great way for you to expand on your ideas. Know the reason and one interesting thing you did. Okay. Sita said, no, because I am occupied with my job, but I learned cooking from my mother. Excellent job, Sita. Very nicely done. No, I'm. Now just remember the contraction is I apostrophe am. I'm. No, because I'm occupied with my job. I would say busy because I'm busy with my work. I could say job too, but I'd probably more likely just say work. No, I'm busy with work, but I learned how to cook from my mother. Or, but my mother taught me how to cook. Either sentence structure is correct, but very nicely done. I love that. Okay. Ismail said, no, I didn't. Exactly, didn't. Get that contraction. I'm very happy to see those contractions. I was studying the whole winter. Exactly. I was studying the whole winter. Now, for you, for the one interesting thing, maybe, Ismail, you could include one interesting thing that you learned. No, I didn't. I was studying the whole winter, but I learned how to use 20 new phrasal verbs. So that could be the interesting thing you did because it relates to the reason why you didn't travel. So that could be a great strategy. Okay. Alexander, of course, I have to choose the Canadian flag. No, I didn't. So just remember, not, you want just no. Yes, no. No, I didn't. Traveling in winter for me is difficult because of the house's chores. I didn't want to come back with a snow mountain in my door. Exactly. Very nicely said. Okay, and Jamie said, unfortunately, no. That's a great one as well, Jamie. Great job saying that because you can say, oh, unfortunately, no. Unfortunately suggests that I wish I had. Unfortunately, no. I looked forward to swim in the river, but it'll be freezing. I looked forward to, what does Jamie need to do here? I looked forward to swimming. To look forward to, this is a gerund expression. You look forward to doing something. I looked forward to swimming in the river, but it'll be freezing. All right. Awesome job. Okay. Our next question. Well, when you're talking with friends, of course, you want to know about their life, what they're doing. But of course, everybody always talks about the weather. So let's say, I'm catching up with my friend, but of course, we don't live in the same city. So maybe we're catching up virtually, which is very commonly done. So we're having a virtual catch up. So I could ask you, how's the weather been lately? How's the weather been lately? I want you to repeat this out loud because it's such an important common question. You use this all the time in social situations, work situations, small talk. So notice that contraction, how's. Repeat that, how's. How's. How's the weather? How's the weather? How's the weather been? Been. How's the weather been lately? Okay, excellent. So now you know the question, you know how to pronounce it. So now I want you to answer this out loud. We don't live in the same city. I'm sure our answers are very, very different. So I want you to answer this out loud. I'll ask it again. How's the weather been lately? Open your mouth, say the words, practice your speaking. How's the weather been lately? Okay. So notice here, How's with apostrophe S, this could represent how is, but this is in the present perfect. So we know it's how has, but the pronunciation is exactly the same. And again, it's the present perfect because I'm asking about the weather in the past, maybe the last few days, the last week, until now. How's the weather been lately, recently? You can use either one, or you can use neither. You can just say, how's the weather been? How's the weather been? So that is how to ask the question. Now, here's a potential answer, and this is quite true for me, especially it would describe right now what's going on outside. It's been, it has been. So just repeat that. It's been, it's been, it's been, it's been. It's been unseasonably cool and rainy. Cool and rainy. Now, unseasonably. Does anyone know what this means? Unseasonably cool and rainy. Who knows? Who knows? Let me know in the comments. It's been unseasonably cool and rainy. Unseasonably and then an adjective. This means more of the adjective than normal based on the normal weather, based on the climate. So in the beginning of June, in my city, is usually sunny and hot. That is what it usually is, what it normally is. So if I say unseasonably cool and rainy, it means it's not normally like this at this time of year. But you don't have to use that. Or you could use an adjective that is the opposite. You could say it's been unseasonably hot, which means hotter than normal. It's been unseasonably rainy, unseasonably dry. If it's unseasonably dry, it means it should be raining, but it's not raining. Or maybe you wouldn't use unseasonably at all because right now the weather is exactly what you expect the weather to be in your city. So let's practice. That's just to give you an example to help you expand your vocabulary with some useful weather vocabulary. But now I'll ask you again, and I want you to open your mouth and say it out loud. How's the weather been lately? It's been. Okay, so let's see some answers. Angel said, it's been horrible lately, to be honest. Yeah, exactly. You could use that as an adjective, horrible. It's been horrible. It's been terrible. And then maybe you can state why, and you can use the unseasonably. It's been unseasonably cold or maybe hot, and that's why it's horrible. Very good. Yuzu said, it's been cloudy and rainy as usual. Exactly, as usual. So this isn't unseasonable. This is as usual. It's been cloudy and rainy. Very good. As usual in June. You need the preposition in June in Japan. Very nice. Alexander asked, could I say barely warm? It's been barely warm. I mean, you could. Technically, that's grammatically correct, but I don't think I would personally say it. And I don't think I would hear a lot of native speakers use it. So it hasn't been very warm, or just it's been cool. Instead of saying barely warm, I would probably just use the opposite, which is cool. Oh, it's been really cool. It's been unseasonably cool. It hasn't been very warm. So that's what I would say. It hasn't been very warm. All right. Harpriya said it's been cloudy. Exactly. Very good. And make sure you practice that out loud. It's been cloudy. Oudy. Make sure you get that vowel. Cloudy. It's been cloudy. Very good. Yuri said, it's been cold. Yeah, it has been. In spoken English, make sure you use that contraction. It's been. It's been. It's been cold in Lima, Peru. Very nice. Okay. And Vladimir said, it's been scorching recently. Excellent. Scorching means extremely hot. So unseasonably hot, hotter than, well, perhaps no, because maybe it is always scorching in June where you live, Vladimir. So not necessarily unseasonably, but scorching means very, very hot. And if you add unseasonably, it means it's unusual for this time of year. Okay, awesome job, everyone. Great job practicing, and make sure you're speaking out loud as well, imitating my pronunciation. Now, how about this question? This is an easy one. What were you up to earlier today? Now, we already talked about up to. We saw this in another question. Native speakers use this all the time, up to. What were you up to earlier today? So first, I want you to practice and repeat after me because you can use this as a question. What were you up to earlier today? What were you up to earlier today? All right. So now, remember that up to means doing. What were you doing? Now, just know that up to is used in question form and it's also used in negative form, but not positive form. So often when I ask students this, oh, what were you up to? They'll say, oh, I was up to learning English. But that's not correct because we don't use this in the positive form. So in the negative form, you would say, I wasn't up to much, because you can use it in the negative form. I wasn't doing much. So repeat after me. I wasn't up to much. And notice up to, you can say that to as a more unstressed to. I wasn't up to. I wasn't up to much. Repeat after me. I wasn't up to much. Excellent. I just ran a few errands. Who knows what this means? I've already heard some people talk about chores, household chores, chores around the house. What about errands? And notice my pronunciation, errands, errands. Very different from the spelling, errands, errands. Repeat after me, errands. To run errands, notice that verb. It's run. You run errands. You don't do errands, you run errands. To run errands, this is when you do quick tasks outside of the house. So who can name an example of an errand? Oh, I ran an errand today. What did you do? Who can name an example of an errand? Put that in the comments. An example of an errand, let me know. So maybe you could pick up your dry cleaning, pick up your laundry, get groceries, get gas, which means to fill up your car with gas. We just say get gas. Maybe you had to drop off a package at the post office. Maybe you had to pick up some lipstick for your next YouTube video. These are all examples of errands. Okay. So now you know what the question means. Let's practice this again. I'm going to ask you and I want you to say it out loud. What were you up to earlier today? What were you up to earlier today? Now to answer, you can just state what you did. Now, because it's earlier today, and you're no longer doing the action because we're talking, we're catching up, you can put it in the past simple. I went for a bike ride with my family. So just name one thing. Always keep it simple. Name one thing. So what were you up to earlier today? You could add on earlier today, I went for a bike ride, or you could do the time reference this morning, this afternoon, at 10 a.m., at 3 p.m., after lunch, before lunch. So you can absolutely add on a time reference if you like. Okay, and I went for a walk. Exactly. An awesome job getting for a walk. A walk. This is the noun form. And this is how native speakers would say when you're just going for a leisurely purpose. And the past simple of the verb go is, of course, went. I went for a walk. Excellent job, Soha. And sorry, I can't read your name. I was preparing for the coming jobs, although it's a holiday today in my country. Oh, it's a holiday. That's wonderful. But I was preparing for the coming jobs. Okay, I'm not sure what the coming jobs means. Maybe it's I was preparing for my work, my upcoming work. That could be what you mean. I went for a stroll earlier today. Nice job adding earlier today, Thomas, at the end. I went for a stroll, a leisurely walk without a specific destination. I've been studying since morning. Yeah, Najib, you can absolutely say that. Oh, I've been studying, and that implies that you're still studying now. I went to my Pilates class this morning. Yeah, wake up and do Pilates. Excellent name. Very nice. Okay, and Math Physics says, I went to visit my parents. Exactly. Excellent job, everyone. Great job practicing. Okay, and this is our last question, and I saved a fun one for last because hypotheticals. Hypotheticals are always fun to practice. So, if you had the time to take up a hobby, which one would you choose? So, remember, this is hypothetical. So it doesn't matter if you don't have the time now. You're imagining you have the time. It's hypothetical. So it doesn't matter what your current work situation is, your current study schedule is, your current financial situation. None of that matters. In this hypothetical situation, you have the time to take up a hobby. So which one, again, it's always easier to just say one thing when you answer a question. And then you can give more information about that one thing. If you had the time, if you had, are conditional, if you had the time to take up a hobby, which one would you choose? Oh, get that hobby in your mind. So to take up a hobby, this means to begin a new hobby. So to start, to begin a new hobby. So practice this. Take up, cup. Notice how those sounds link together. Take up. Repeat. Take up. Take up. Take up a hobby. Take up a hobby. And again, begin a new hobby. So here's a model that you can use. If I had the time, so you're using the conditional in your answer. If I had the time, I'd take up yoga. I would take up, I'd take up. I'd take up. So notice that D is almost not pronounced when you say it in spoken English. So repeat after this. I'd take up. I'd take up. I'd take up yoga. And then you can state the reason or the fact. So a fact, what do I mean? Well, maybe an interesting fact about yoga. I take up yoga because I know it's good for my health. So maybe that's the reason why, but maybe it's just a fact about yoga as well. I'd learn how to. I'd learn how to. So you need your infinitive. I'd learn how to draw because it's very relaxing. I'd start. What would you start? I'd start taking photos. I'd start, what would you start? I'd start building websites. I'd start speaking in English because I need to pass my IELTS or whatever the reason why. So you don't have to use all three, just pick one. I'd take up, I'd learn how to, I'd start. So let's practice this again. If I had the time, repeat that. If I had the time, I'd take up, because, and then you can provide your reason or perhaps a fact. So let's try this again as well, let me show you a potential answer. If I had the time, I'd learn how to draw. This is true. I've always wanted to learn how to draw. If I had the time, I'd learn how to draw. I love the idea of sitting in nature and drawing the beauty in front of me. And this is very true. This is exactly how I would answer this. I'd learn how to draw. So I'll leave this up for you. If I had the time, I'd take up, because. So I'm going to ask you again. If you had the time, what hobby would you take up? All right, make sure you answer. And remember, we're practicing your speaking skills. Open your mouth and say the answer out loud. Okay. Hastiar said, if I had the time, I would play, exactly as a contraction, I'd play video games. Games with an S. I'd play video games. Now, maybe you can provide a fact about video games, or you can provide a fact, could be your favorite video game, or you could provide the reason why. Okay, Jonathan said, if I had the time, perfect, I'd take up how to shoot a ball. Ah, very nice. I'm glad you said this, Jonathan, because the reason I provided the 3 different examples is because the choice really depends on what you say. Now, if you say a hobby or an activity like basketball, then you can use take up because you take up a hobby. But in your case, you're talking about learning. So you would say, I'd learn how. I'd learn how to shoot a ball. I'd take up basketball. I'd start playing basketball if you wanted to use start. Okay, awesome, Jonathan. I hope you get to do that. Manuel said, where I have enough time, when I have enough time, I would become a farmer. So farmer is an occupation, it's a profession. So you would say, I would become a farmer. You could also say, I'd learn how to farm. I'd learn how to farm. I'd start growing vegetables. I'd start growing flowers, whatever you want to farm. Okay, and Sue Young said, if I had the time, I'd learn how to swim. So you want the infinitive. I'd learn how to swim because I want to be good at swimming. How to swim? I want to be good at swimming. Very good. Ismail said, I take up traveling around the world because I love exploring new cultures. If you use do, you have to use due to, but you have to use a noun. Due to my love of travel. But if you use a verb, you have to use because I love exploring new cultures. Okay, let's do one more. Boris, if I had time, you can use that. You don't have to say the time. If I had time, I'd learn to play guitar. So not a guitar, it's just guitar in general. I'd learn to play guitar. I learn to play guitar. All right, we'll do a couple more. If I had the time, I'd find some more opportunities to improve English listening skills. Exactly. That's wonderful. Now, I have to let you know that I have a whole playlist for English listening skills on my YouTube channel. So if you just go into the playlist section, you'll see a playlist for listening exercises. So if you have the time, when you have the time, you can use that playlist. Okay. Let's do one more. Education says, if I had the time, I would take up playing badminton. So you can, for take up is just the hobby. So the hobby is, think of it as the name of the sport, the name of the activity. I take up badminton. Otherwise, it's I'd learn how to play badminton. I'd start playing badminton. If I had the time, I'd take up badminton because it's my favorite indoor game. Exactly. Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay. Asham said, I'd take up watching my amazing teacher's whole videos. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And that is, we have one more question. Okay, we'll do one more question. What's been the highlight of this month so far? What's been the highlight of this month so far? Oh, this is a good question. It's June. So, what's been the highlight of this month so far? So, the highlight of something is the most memorable part. So, think what your favorite thing, your favorite thing you did, you saw, you experienced in June. All right? So, to answer, you can say the highlight of my month has been, and then you can use a gerund verb. Maybe it's running a marathon, has been running a marathon. Or you can use a noun, the marathon. The highlight of my month has been, so a nice positive way to end our class. The highlight of my month has been. Okay. So maybe you could say the highlight of my month has been creating so many amazing lessons for my wonderful students, which is so true. This has definitely been the highlight of my month, has been creating so many amazing lessons for my wonderful students. So that's mine. Now, what about yours? The highlight of my month has been, we'll end on a positive note. So put that in the chat and I'll ask the question again. What's been the highlight of this month so far? Remember, open your mouth and answer out loud. What's been the highlight of this month so far? A great question. And remember your answer. The highlight of my month has been, and then a gerund or a noun. Okay, we have Yuzu. The highlight of my month has been getting new plan for cooking. Very nice. Has been getting a new plan for cooking. A new plan for cooking. Excellent. Wake Up said, the highlight of my month has been trying to talk with people in English. Very nice. Has been trying. After the verb try, you just need the infinitive. I've been trying to improve, to learn, to do. I've been trying to talk with people in English. Excellent activity, Wake Up. Tomaz says, the highlight of my month has been quitting drinking. Congratulations, Tomaz. It's always difficult when we want to make change in our life. And just the fact that you tried and you did it, that is something to be congratulated. Amazing job. Alexander said, the highlight of this month has been watching my favorite soccer team qualifying for the finals. Absolutely. What a wonderful highlight. Very nice. My favorite soccer team. There's no need for the possessive there. My favorite soccer team. Gore says, the highlight of my month has been practicing meditation. Exactly. Very good. Practicing and then something, a noun, meditation. Excellent. The highlight of my month has been having done a lot of chores at my old house in my hometown. Very nice highlight. Instead of having done, you can just say has been doing. So you just want your gerund verb, which is the verb do. So you can just say the highlight of my month has been doing a lot of chores. Very nice. Najib said the highlight of this month has been meeting one of my soulmates. If you use one of, your noun needs to be plural. One of my soulmates with an S. But if you want to sound a little more romantic, get rid of the one of and say has been meeting my soulmate, because it sounds like there's only one soulmate for you and you just found that person. Oh, amazing. That's so cute. Mohammed said the highlight of this month has been trying to pick my father to India for health issues. Has been trying to pick up my father from India, or maybe take my father to India, whatever, maybe pick up my father, but then it's from India. Okay, well, I wish your father and you all the best. All right, Maya, the highlight of this month has been hiking some mountains. Excellent. Very nice highlight. Hastar said, the highlight of my month has been watching all your videos. That is so sweet. Thank you so much. All right, Tiffany. The highlight of my month has been starting to play Minecraft with my boyfriend. Wonderful. I love it. I hope you have fun.
Did you enjoy this masterclass? If you did, put masterclass in the comments. And of course, make sure you like this lesson, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you're notified every time I post a new lesson. And you can get this free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can click here to download it or look for the link in the description. And I have another lesson that will help you become fluent, so make sure you watch it right now.